hindrance, they are impediment from the what? From the external what? Externality of the economy, of the what? Of the entity. They are external constraints. They are limiting factors that what are post threat to the prospect, to the growth prospect, to the expansion prospect of the what? Of the entity. So we call them what? We call them threats. So the SWOT analysis is a complete what? Scanning of all threats, of all elements, all factors that may affect the what? The company, and also factors that the company can what? Can leverage on to exploit and to exploit to explore and to expand in terms of what? Operation, and yield more what? More cash flow, more cash inflow rather. So, strength and weakness are concerned with the internal capability and core competency of an entity, whereas threat and opportunities are concerned with factors and development in the world, in the environment. In order to what? To prepare a SWOT analysis, it is necessary to what? To analyze what our what? Strengths. We have to analyze the internal resources of the entity and tries to identify the strong point and weak point. And as well also analyze the external environment and also try to what? To identify the opportunities and threats. So we'll take these elements together, the internal and the external. Firstly, let's look at what strengths and weakness or weaknesses are. Strengths and weaknesses relate to factors within the entity, as I've stated earlier on, such as what? Strength and weaknesses, such as the strength and weaknesses of its process, these processes and system, its resources, its management, and its what? Its track records of success or failure in the past. So this may be what? Maybe a strength to the organization, or maybe a threat. For instance, senior management in a company might have their own what? Opinion of the strengths and weakness of the what? Weaknesses of the company. But a management information system should what? Should be able to provide measured and reliable what? Reliable information about the strengths and weaknesses of what? Of the entity. For instance, let's look at those things that could stand in as what? As strength, or at the same time standing as what? As weaknesses. For instance, the company's products and what? And brand may be a what? May be a strength, and at the same time may be a weakness. So the strength of the brand name, the quality of the product or service in question, the portfolio of the product, assessed in terms of what? In terms of a stage in the life cycle, or a Boston Consulting Group portfolio analysis, profitable and return on capital, or contribution to what? To cash flow. Then the next is what? Another thing that what we can use to measure the strength and weakness of an entity, another yardstick or another what? Another pointer is the what? The ability to research and development. Ability to research and development. Ability to research and development. So, number of innovation, success rate for new innovations, speed of innovation. Yes, speed of innovation is very, very important. First to hit it in the market is very, very important. Speed in responding to new products of competitors, as well as the cost of research, could be a strength, or at the same time could be a weakness to an entity. Another yardstick we need to use, or another pointer in checking the strengths and weaknesses of a company, is what? Is the marketing. The marketing. Ability of the sales force, success in the past and selling products, efficiency of channels of distribution, Because if you have the right product and the product is not right there in the right time, the product is more or less a useless product. In the past, they says production is completed when goods are when goods and services gets to the hands of the final consumer. But in the world of marketing today, production is not complete until the consumer consumes the goods, because production itself is not creation of goods and services, it's the creation of utility. And utility can only be can only come when the consumption has only taken place. So the marketing strength, the ability of the sales force, the success in the past in the selling product, efficiency of channels of distribution, network of intermediaries, that is retail stores, agents and distributors, market size, market share, number of regular customers. That is very, very important, because the definition of a customer is not a customer is not a person that buys once and leave. No, a customer is that person that repurchase often the products in question. So the number of regular customers and the customers service operation can also be can also stand in as a strength or as a weakness. One of the factors that is contributing to the massive growth of the GT Bank is so far so good is their customer service. I'm not being sentimental here. So distribution / delivery is also another pointer we can use in measuring the strength and weakness of a company. Distribution. How often, how quickly does a company in question reply to customers order? So the location of the distribution center, the cost of distribution, fleet of delivery vehicle are a good example or a good yardstick of looking at the strength and weakness of a company. Another pointer is finance. Availability of long-term capital, availability of short-term fund, profitability, operational cash flow, return on investment, credit control, collection of receivables, and bad debts are also a good yardstick of measuring the strength and weaknesses of a company. Another pointer is the asset. The assets, type and value of assets, quality of assets, production capacity, location of the asset is also another pointer. And you can bet me to it that in terms of structuring, GT Bank has it. Okay. Also, another point to use in measure, another pointer in measuring the strength and the strength and ability, the strength and the weakness of an entity is also the level of the level of employees. The level of employees and management. After all, even when people want to purchase the shares of a company, one of the qualitative factors they consider is who are those that made up the board of directors. So your employee and your management. So skill and experience, training, loyalty, motivation, and industrial relation are those key under employee that people want to consider to look at your strength and your weakness. Then you can also use suppliers of inventories, suppliers and inventory. Also, we can also use what we call the organization. Organization and management. Organization and management can also be used. Okay, so that is for that is for strength. Now let's consider the threats. Threat and opportunity. Threat and opportunity. An information system should provide information to management about the threats and opportunities in the environment. The source of this information are outside the entity itself. They are not within the entity. They are outside the entity itself. There might be a wide range of information sources, such as official publication, newspapers, reports, government statistics, physical observation of competitors and customers, and discussion with suppliers. The nature of threat and opportunity in the environment can be classified into several broad groups, but one method of classification that is common is what we call PESTEL. You must have heard of PESTEL. P stands for political threats and opportunity. P stands for political threats and and opportunities. Political threat and opportunities. Government regulation, for example, towards a given permission for a new business development and construction project. Government policy, for example, towards government spending programs, or consequence of a change of government. This can become a threat or opportunity to a company. Funny enough, political issues or political elements could be a threat to some companies, and to some other companies it will become it will become an opportunities. It will become opportunities. The first E in PESTEL stands for Economic threat. Economic threats and opportunity. Economic threat and opportunities. Economic changes like rate of economic growth or recession, exchange rates, interest rates, anti-monopoly regulation, rate of inflation, tax policies. These are uncontrollable factors that are mitigating or impeding the world. They may be a constraint, or they may be opportunity to the company, depending on the side we wear when those things are occurring. For instance, in times of inflation, debtors gain and creditors loses. So it depends on the side we are when these things are occurring. PESTEL we are still discussing. S stand for what? Stand for social threat. S stand for social threats and and opportunities. It could be a threat. It could be an opportunity. So social changes, like for social change, for example, changes in the age distribution of the population. Cultural change could be what? Could be, for example, changes in in leisure activity or movement in the population. Could stand as an advantage or as a disadvantage to the business. When it's standing as an advantage, it's a threat. When it's standing as a disadvantage, it's a threat. But when it is standing as an advantage to the business, is an opportunity. Another factor is technology. The T stands for what? Stands for technology, or what we call technological threats. Technological threats and and opportunities. Technological threats and opportunities. A change in any technological or scientific development may be an advantage to the world, to the business, or a disadvantage to the business. Yes. So it depends on the side the business is. Any technological change or any scientific development, it may result to what? To a positive. It may result to a positive influence that will become opportunities. It may result to a negative influence on the organization that becomes a threat to the organization. The next E stand for what? E stand for environment what? Environmental what? Environmental threats and opportunities. Environmental threat and what? Opportunities. So costs and availability of what? Of form of energy, pollution, preservation of the environment, sustainable business. So this may become threat or an opportunity depending on which side the economy, which side the business is standing when these things are occurring. Then the next is what we call, which is L, legal. The legal threat. The legal threat. Legal threats and what? Opportunities. Emergence of new what? New laws, new legislation, new decrees, decision by a court of law. All these may what? May constitute threats or opportunities to the what? To the entity. So when a firm is preparing its what? It's what we call it, a SWOT analysis. Preparing a SWOT analysis. What are those things the firm must consider? A SWOT analysis might be presented as 4 lists in a what? In a form of what? In the form of chart. Let's see it. Can divide it in what? In form of what? In form of chart. Let's start with what? With strengths. What are those things that could stand as what? As strengths. 1. Extensive research. Extensive research knowledge. 2. A company can have a what? A high skilled what? Scientist in the what? In the workforce. In the workforce. A company may also enjoy high investment in advanced equipment. A company may also hold patent rights. Patent on what? On 6 products. For instance, also high what? High profit margin is also what? Is also a strength. Then what about the weaknesses? What about the weaknesses? The weaknesses may be what? May be slow. Slow what? Slow progress. Slow progress with research projects. But next, it could be what? Poor we can have poor Poor record of what? Of converting research. There is one thing to what? To gather research. Poor record of converting research projects into what? Into new product development. Then we may also have what? Recent increase in labor turnover. So these are threats to the what? To the organization in question. So these are weaknesses rather. So let's look at the external factors which can turn to what? Opportunities. Opportunities, or they could turn to what? They could turn to threats. For opportunities, we may have what? We may have strong growth. Strong growth in total market demand. That is, there is an increase in the aggregate demand. So we may also have what? New scientific discoveries have not yet been fully exploited. Then threats from external factors may be what? May be recent merger. This is outside the control. I've told you external factors are outside the control of the organization. So we have recent merger of two major competitors. Another could be what? Could be risk of what? Stricter regulation of new products. For instance, here, when the Lagos State government said there is no street selling, so it's a threat to what? It was a threat to product like gala and what do you call it, all those canned juice and plastic bottle drinks. They were a threat. Or when the Lagos State government said when Lagos State banned the use of a motorcycle on the express road, it's a threat. So those are uncontrollable. So in order to prepare a SWOT analysis, it is necessary to what? To analyze the internal resources of the entity and try to also what? Identify strong point and weak point. Analyzing the external environment and try to what? Identify the opportunities and what? And threats. So strategic management accounting and SWOT analysis, the management accounting system should be what? Should be able to support the SWOT analysis by management. So by providing relevant information, much of this information can be what? Can be quantified. Much of this information can be quantified. So in the example above, for instance, the examples I've given earlier on, while explaining, so it is very, very necessary that what? It's necessary that a management information system must provide information such as what? Time to complete research project, percentage of research project that move on to a development phase. Also we must also have what? The management information system must also be able to provide a profit margin. As you can see, that was a strength. And growth in the total market demand and annual sales must also be presented by management information system. Also the labor rate turnover. So all those things that were listed under opportunities, threats, weakness, and strength, the management information system must provide information, in a quantified manner towards this point.